If your plant is dying, it's usually one of five things. And today I'm going to show you how to diagnose and actually fix the problem. No guesswork. Hey everyone, I'm Kevin, a 12-time Emmy Award winner and tropical plant hobbyist. Over the years, I have helped rescue dozens, if not over 100 plants, and there are usually five things, these five things, that cause the main issue. Today, we're going to break them all down for you, and we are going to start with those nasty little pests, plant pests. There are five in particular, from spider mites to mealybugs, aphids, and those annoying gnats, the fungus gnats that we all hate so much. But here's the thing, guys. They are silent killers. They're easy to miss, but they cause major damage fast. So, I know all about these babies because I have dealt with pretty much all of them except for scale so far. Knock on wood. If you guys have dealt with them, I'm just curious to know in the comments. Let me know which pests you deal with on a regular basis. We'll take a look at the poll here in just a minute. But let's start with the ever annoying spider mites, because not only did my king anthurium deal with spider mites a while back, like 2, 3 months ago, but now my little queen anthurium, as I found out the other morning at like 1:30 in the morning, is dealing with spider mites. This after I rescued her, after shooting out her brand new leaf right before it came out. I noticed that she had thrips, and I got rid of the thrip problem by isolating her. But now, alas, as the first new leaf comes out in this plant, there are spider mites on the plant. So, in a situation like this, there are several things that you want to do. And it is as simple as doing this. Check on the leaf's underside and check on the soil, because all these plant pests, guys, they love to hide on the underside of those leaves, in the crevices, in the areas that you'd least suspect. Also along the edges too. That's where I first noticed those spider mites. But you can easily treat them by doing things such as using a simple mixture. For instance, with the queen anthurium there, I simply used some distilled water with a little bit of non-scented dish soap, and I used a Q-tip because it is a new leaf, and I went along the back side of it slowly just to make sure that I wasn't being too rough on the edges there. But there are other treatments as well, like neem oil, for instance. You have granule insecticides, and so many others. Another big one that I like to use, especially when it comes to fungus gnats, are those little yellow sticky traps, I should say, that I put in all of my plants, regardless of whether or not I feel that they're dealing with pests. I put them in there as a preventative measure. You can get them on Amazon for super cheap. In fact, there is a link in the video bio if you're interested in getting them. It's a pack that I got, and trust me, those babies catch every little thing that goes on by. Now, why it's important to get rid of pests immediately is because they can spread quickly to the rest of your plant population, especially ones like thrips. Thrips can multiply so fast and create a swarm of thrips that will destroy your entire plant collection. Another preventative measure, and what I do with all my plants after I'm done watering them, is I make sure to clean off their foliage. That way, for two reasons. One, to get rid of any potential pests that might be stuck on their leaves or trying to feed from them, but also because it helps dust off the leaf and keep it clean so it can photosynthesize easier. By the way, when I asked you folks which pests you deal with the most, the votes are in, and 94 of you voted thank you, by the way, on my YouTube community poll, and a majority of you said those annoying fungus gnats. They're so annoying. Spider mites and mealybugs were tied, of course, and then aphids, scale, and others came in last place. But man, oh man, when you have to deal with any of those, woof, it is something. So, another big thing as to why your plants might be dying is because one, soil, two, having it deal with not being pruned, having those leaves, the dead leaves cut back where energy is coming in. So let's take a look at that. This is actually the perfect time of year as we head into the summer months here in the Northern Hemisphere to repot and prune. Well, pruning you can do all year long, but repotting wise, this is definitely a good time of year, and that's what we're going to do with my Monstera siltibacana, also known as the silver leaf monstera. So I braided this plant up about 2 or 3 years ago because the plant was getting too long. I think its vines are probably wrapped around that trellis at least a good 16 to 20 feet at this point. Now, I screwed up royally because it should have been repotted a while ago. Take a look at its roots that are wrapped around that pot, and oh my gosh, it has been like that and needed to be repotted for a while now. The other big issue was as I was redoing my plant display, I moved it out of the way where it was getting good natural light, and I moved it into a dark area where I watered it, and its soil has been soggy, which has led to these gross looking leaves. So what we're going to do is we're just going to simply prune and repot it. And of course, we'll start with the repotting first. My gosh, take a look at those. Man, oh man. And yeah, its roots have been coming out of the bottom as well. And so this is in definite need of a repotting. I just didn't have space for it in my old apartment, my old unit to grow, to wrap around my apartment with 16 to 20 feet. So that's why I decided to use a trellis, and I'm glad I did because this baby had been doing so well in there up until last week when I watered it and left it in a dark area. Look at how soggy that soil is. And it was in a really good chunky aeroid soil mix. So I screwed this baby up royally. And I probably should wait for its soil to dry out more. But the fact of the matter is, it's not doing well right now. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to be back in just a quick second so I can take some more water to loosen up this soil. Actually, rather than saying I'll be right back, I might as well show you guys what I'm doing. So I basically fill up this tub with warm, not warm water, but room temperature water. That way I can just put the plant's soil and its roots inside there and slowly try to be gentle, untangle them when the soil is that compact and pressed together. This is something that's really good to do, especially if you buy your plants from like a big box store like a Home Depot, a Lowe's, or Walmart, because oftentimes what happens when you get those plants is their soil is drenched, and it is not good for the plants because, of course, the number one cause of houseplant death is root rot from overwatering our plants, of course. And the soil that those plants come in, oftentimes, probably 99% of the time, is not a good airy soil that is breathable. Instead, it's more like a compact, dense soil. Now, mind you, this was a good chunky aeroid soil mix that had been in for the last 2 or 3 years since repotting it. And the only reason why it wasn't breathable was because I watered it and then kept it in a low light area where the sun wasn't hitting it and drying it out as fast. Okay, one thing has become abundantly clear that I need to take better care of my monstera when it comes to being root bound. Take a look at the Celtibacata, and in the corner of your screen, look at what happened recently when I repotted my monstera elbow root bound. Yeah. So apparently I have a thing with monsteras where I need to focus a little bit more on them. Yes, monstera as a genus do love to be slightly root bound, but this is a little bit too much, you know. Same thing goes with the elbow. And if you hadn't seen that episode, you can click on it up in the corner. So I have untangled it well enough where we can now pot it up. Initially, I was going to pot it up in this pot, but I'm going to go for something slightly larger so it has more space. And we're going to go with this one. I normally love potting up my plants in clear plastic pots so I can keep an eye on their root growth, but I just haven't been able to find any that are uh, as large as something like this. So I just picked this up at a Target for $5. You can't go wrong with a deal like that. And what's nice about these pots is that they have really good drainage on the bottom, and I'll know when it's time to repot it again. Hopefully I pay closer attention to it because its roots will come out of the bottom. Now, what I'm potting it up in is another chunky aeroid soil mix, which ingredients are up in that video, up in this corner of your screen right now. And I'm just going to put in a nice little layer. And because I have this baby on a trellis, by the way, what I'm reaching for is rooting hormone powder, which apparently they say helps with transfers as well as propagations when you're repotting or potting them up. I've never looked into the science behind it, guys, but I'll tell you what, I've been using it for years and it seems to always help. So yeah, because I have it on a trellis, I am going to take the trellis stand, or legs rather, and I'm going to just kind of push them through the vines gently, or through the roots, I should say, and put them around the side just so it doesn't cause any root damage. Actually, what I need to do is put more soil in there, some dead roots. Needs a firmer base layer. It'll be nice that it has more soil to move around in, and it is a chunky, nice aerated mix. So let's see if that's deep enough. Yeah, it should be maybe a little bit more. See, now I'm second guessing it. I'm wondering maybe we will go with this baby. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna go with this one. Ah, see, Kevin, you should have listened to yourself to begin with. I should never listen to myself. I'm just kidding, guys. Okay, so yeah, I love this plant so much, and I shouldn't have let it gone this far with getting this root bound. But then again, like I was saying, I mean, paying attention to the signs and also knowing that this is a good time to repot also is probably a good indication that this baby definitely needed it. Okay, so we're going to firmly place her in there, pull this vine out, and yeah, should be good to go. And let's move on to pruning. Pruning is something I suggest you do year round. I know it's something I do year round, and it's simple. You simply just look for the dead leaves and you snip them off. It is a really good and easy way to make sure that your plants remain healthy. Yeah, like I said, because of that issue where I just needed to repot this baby and keep it in better light, a lot of its leaves died off. The root bound issue was definitely the major reason, though. That's the thing, is that when pruning, though, you're going to transfer the health and the growth to new leaves that would form, because right now this plant is still transferring its energy into some of these leaves that are still dying off. And rather than focus on the dying leaves, we want this baby to focus on new growth. And one of the things that's nice, even though it was dealing with that issue, is that there's plenty of new growth that is happening here. Like I was mentioning, the vines that come out, look at two new leaves coming in off of those babies. So this snipping, this new pot, and more space is definitely going to let this baby bounce back. All right, so we got through pests, we got through repotting, we got through pruning, and we touched base on watering and overwatering and the effects that it can have on killing your plants. The next big one, the last big one, is lighting. Grow lights have been such a crucial part of my plants' health and growth over the years. And I have several of them that I have hung up and set up around my urban jungle the entire time. Because keep in mind, guys, no light equals no growth, period. Even the best soil and watering won't help in the dark. You need to know your plant's needs. Is it a low light or bright and direct? Now, south facing windows, of course, being the best. Reflectors are another good thing. That is a crucial good tip to have in mind. Reflectors. What I used to do in my old unit was, because I wasn't getting good lighting there, I would take a giant mirror and I would put it alongside the window so it would reflect that sunlight into areas where I wasn't getting good light. Little pro tip for you there. So, yeah, lighting is incredibly crucial when it comes to all of these beautiful plants and their beautiful growth, because we want to see them grow and be happy. By the way, in the video description, I will link you up with some of the best grow lights that I use. And yeah, they do vary in price, but trust me when I tell you this, I have some good deals in there for you, because a lot of the grow lights that I have are really cheap. I mean, like 20 bucks for a 4-pack of some of them. So check it out. And the fact of the matter is, you follow all these steps and your plants will bounce back. My King Anthurium is a really great example. That is my favorite plant. But yeah, I did unfortunately neglect it from time to time. And not only did it deal with spider mites, but oof, when I was in Vegas back in April for work, it fell from its perch. Fortunately, none of its stems or leaves snapped. There was some damage to some of its leaves, but man, oh man, it could have been a lot worse. And so that happened about 2 weeks after the spider mite issue, but that plant is thriving, alive and healthy again. So many of my plants in my collection have gone through neglect, unfortunately, at some point or another, but they have all bounced back. It just takes time, patience, and a really strict guide to really just follow and make sure that you are consistent with keeping up with their care. I'm curious to know right now in the comments, actually, let me know which plants are you trying to save right now in this moment, because I bet many of you are dealing with this. By the way, just want to say thank you guys for watching another one of my plenty videos, and if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell for more fun and interesting planty content just like this. By the way, if you want to see another success story that I had with a plant that bounced back, check out this video right here, because my philodendron luxurians that was also attacked by thrips at one point, man, oh man, I was so nervous for that plant, but boy, did it bounce back and is super healthy to this day. Hey, thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.